Okay, part 28. Uh, I'm still discussing on meal period. Is there a difference between a meal period and a rest period? Yung meal period, ito yung period na binibigay mo sa empleyado mo para kumain. Again, let me repeat that it is the obligation of the employer to give the employee just and humane conditions of work. Yun yung pinag-usapan natin dati. So, just and humane conditions of work, that is his basic right. Magna Carta yan. Bigyan mo ng pagkakataong kumain sa isang araw, di ba? Are they paid? No, it's not paid. Isang oras lang, usually lunchtime. It is only in the Philippines na ang meal period, lahat lunchtime. In other jurisdictions, dapat hindi magkakaroon ng disruption of business operation. Kaya yung meal period, iba-iba. Yung isa 11 to 12, isa 12 to 1, isa 1 to 2. Now, it's always 1 hour, 60 minutes. Is there an exception to that? Pwede bang gawin ng employer, papirmahin yung employee o yung meal period mo? Ano lang, babawasan natin masyadong mahaba yung meal period mo. Isang oras, gaano ka ba katagal kumain? Baka naman masyadong matagal sa oras. Can it be shortened by a waiver of the employee, by contractual stipulations, nagkasundo si employer at si employee in the contract of employment na ang meal period niya is 30 minutes lang? No, definitely. As a general rule, meal period cannot be shortened. Talagang isang oras yan. Maski na kung yung empleyado, katulad ko kung kumain 10 minuto, inom na kaagad ako ng tubig, it cannot be shortened. That is the general rule. But of course, alam naman natin na lahat ng rules, there is an exception. What about kung merong magkaroon ng emergency? So, kung merong emergency like the emergency entails jeopardy to life, property, business interruption, business losses, kakaroon ng malulugi yung kumpanya o mga interrupt yung business. Can it be shortened? Yes, but provided there are some qualifications. First, kung ililimit mo yung meal period na yan, it cannot be less than 20 minutes. So, kahit na mayroong emergency at gusto mong ilimit yung meal period, kailangan bibigyan mo pa rin siya ng 20 minutes na meal period. And yung IRR, Implementing Rules and Regulations and Labor, ko sinasabi, dapat yung operation of the company must not exceed 16 hours a day. Ibig sabihin, yung operation ng kumpanya, dapat hindi sila inaabot ng gabi. That's one. So you have to account for that na yung kumpanya, siguro ordinary office hours lang, 8 to 5. Hindi pwedeng i-exceed sila ng 16 hours kung halimbawa ginagawa ng 8 to 8 a.m., 9 a.m., 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. on the following day. So, ibig sabihin, nag-i-exceed na yung operations ng kumpanya for 16 hours. Hindi niya pwedeng i-shorten yung meal period kasi yun yung isang criteria that the uh, operation of the company must not exceed 16 hours a day. And if you lessen that meal period, di ba sabi natin kanina ang meal period hindi binabayaran. If you lessen that meal period, that means you already have to pay for it. Babayaran mo na siya. Yung isang oras na meal period niya, babayaran mo kahit na less than 1 hour yan. Again, to repeat, there is an emergency, you can shorten the meal period not less than 20 minutes. The operation of the company does not exceed 16 hours a day. And the meal period must be paid. That is the exception. Now, what is the exception to the exception? Dito sa Pilipinas, ganyan mag-isip ng ating mga mambabatas. Mayroon ng exception, mayroon pa exception to exception. Kung talagang under under extreme situations. Meron tayong tinatawag na quote unquote compelling reason. Talagang it will jeopardize life, it will may emergency that will jeopardize life, property, di ba? Meron talagang mamamatay o may masisirang kung ano, consumables. Can that 20 minutes na sinasabi na it must not be, the reduction of the meal period must not be less than 20 minutes. Pwede bang paikliin pa ng 20 minutes? Okay, this is the exception to the exception according to the IR, implementing rules and regulations of the labor code. Diba, pwede naman under extremes. Kung kanina yung compelling reason, under extreme situations, the meal period can be lessened to less than 20 minutes under extreme situations. Ngayon, what are the other qualifications? Sabi natin kanina na again, just and humane conditions of work, di ba? Pakakainin mo pa rin yan. Ngayon, kung halimbawa there is a serious emergency, in such case, the employer is bound to give the employee another meal period for the same day. So, kung talagang sobrang emergency, ang mangyayari, the original period of less than 20 minutes is treated as a rest period is treated as the rest period of the employee. So, kung under extreme emergency, under extreme situations, di ba, hindi na ba kakain yung tao? Pakakainin mo pa rin yung tao. Kasi ang kanina, yung general exceptions is that yung exceptions to the general rule is that the meal period can be lessened but not less than 20 minutes. Ngayon, kung extreme yung situation, you can lessen it to less than 20 minutes pero pakakainin pa rin yung tao. Siguro, gawin mong 10 minutes. Diba? Katulad ko, kaya kong kumain ng 10 minutes. Ngayon, kung ginawa mong 10 minutes dahil may extreme situation, you'll have to treat that 10 minutes meal period as a rest period. Ano ibig sabihin nun? Babayaran mo yan and then for the same day, bibigyan mo siya ng another meal period of 1 hour. So, di ba? So, klaruhin natin. General exception, it cannot be lessened for less than 20 minutes. Exception, it can be lessened. It cannot be lessened for 1 hour but not less than 20 minutes. Pero under extreme situation, it can be less than 20 minutes provided extreme nga yung situations, babayaran mo siya and for that same day, bibigyan mo siya ng another meal period. Otherwise, violation ka nung ating tinatawag na employer's obligation to give the employee just and humane conditions of work. Anong consequence niyan? Well, the employee can sue you in Department of Labor. Ipasa nga o pasuspende yung lisensya mo pasuspending lisensya mo to operate. Di ba? Kasi nga, you're not giving your employee just and humane conditions of work. Ngayon, on another point, halimbawa yung mga attendance sa seminar, yung mga meetings, lecture programs, katulad nito, seminar, conferences, meeting, lecture programs for career development, binabayaran ba yan? Halimbawa sinabihan mo, halimbawa merong seminar, merong meeting, may conference for career development halimbawa kung kayo ang empleyado ay HR, sabi mo umattend ka ng seminar ni attorney ganyan. Katulad ng seminar natin, katulad ng lecture natin, umattend ka ng lecture natin ngayon. Dapat ba bayaran yan ng employer? Okay, ganito ang rule. Dahil nga career development yan, pag halimbawang sinabi ng employer nyo sa inyo, umattend ka ng career development seminar conference, meetings, lectures, or whatever, pag inorderan ka ng employer mo, ordinarily, hindi yan dapat babayaran niya. Hindi niya yan babayaran. Ngayon, babayaran niya lang yan, yung oras na the time that you spend in those seminars, etc. Kung pumasok yan dun sa iyong normal working hours. Ano ba yung normal working hours mo? Diba, ang normal working hours mo is 8 to 5. Sinabi niya, okay, mamayang 8 to 12, umattend ka ng seminar for career development. Boss, ibig sabihin, hindi mo ako babayaran ng ganun. Paano yung pamilya ko? Diba? If it is ordered, but within the normal working hours of the employee, that the hours that the employee spent in attending that seminar must be paid by the employer. Does it matter whether the seminar is inside or outside of the company? Whether inside the company or outside the company, babayaran na yan dahil kinain yan yung normal working hours mo. Mas pinasabihin mong, may darating ditong lecturer, darating dito si Attorney Campanilla, o HR ka, umattend ka mamaya, pagdating niya, umattend ka ng seminar niya. Pag umattend ka doon, dahil normal working hours mo yan, dapat bayaran. Ngayon, kung halimbawang outside of the normal working hours of the employee, kung outside, ang trabaho niya 8 to 5, yung seminar is 5 to 7, whether outside outside the company or inside the company, since it is for your career development, hindi yan dapat niyang bayaran. Hindi niya yan dapat bayaran. Career development yan eh. Diba? Most probably kaya ka pinapa-attend yan is for your own good. Most probably hindi ka nakakapag-deliver ng trabaho mo, you're not doing your job satisfactory. That's the reason why pinapa-attend ka niyang mga career development seminar. So again, the logic for this rule is that the appeal is for the professional development of the employee. Example, it is the company who hosts a seminar for professional development of the employee after office hours. After office hours naman, hindi ka niya dapat bayaran yan. Kasi for professional growth mo yan. Di ba? Umimbita na nga siya ng taong magte-training sa iyo eh. Tapos babayaran ka pa niya. Ngayon, pwede mo bang i-defy yan? Ordered nga eh. Pag i-defy mo yan, you can be charged with insubordination or disobeying a lawful order. That's a lawful order. Not unless yun nga, kung meron kang compelling reason. Boss, hindi pwede, susundo ako ng anak mami. Boss, hindi pwede, masakit ang pakiramdam ko. Kung merong compelling reason, pwedeng hindi ka umattend kung meron kang compelling reason. Diba? Especially, boss, hindi ko na kaya, pagod na ako, matanda na ako, di ba? Yeah, the short to it is that attendance on a seminar or meeting of lectures for career development outside of office working hours is not treated as an overtime. Oo, hindi treated yan. Sige na magtatrabaho dyan. Nakikinig ka lang. And para sa'yo, para sa ikabubuti yung makikinig mo dyan. Ngayon, yung overtime, again, ang issue pa rin dito yung just and humane conditions of work. So the question that will come to us is overtime obligatory? Obligatory by overtime? Consistent ang Supreme Court, hindi obligatory ang overtime. Sir, doon sa facts ng exam, di ba? The employee agrees to render overtime work. Doon sa contract, doon sa isa contractual stipulations in the contract of employment na nag-a-agree siya to render overtime regardless of that. Alam mo yung mga nakalagay sa contract, it cannot be violative of the basic rights of the employee. Kasi ang empleyado, pipirma at pipirma yan. Pag walang trabaho yan, bigyan mo yan ng kontrata. Sabi mo, waive yung overtime mo ha. Wala kang overtime pay, pipirma yan. Tapos sabi mo, mag-overtime ka pag sinabi ko ha. Pipirma yan. Kasi nga, again, alam niyo dito sa Pilipinas, napakahirap talaga humanap ng trabaho. But even if there's a contractual stipulation, overtime is not obligatory. Supreme Court sinasabi, man are not machines. Di ba? Yung 8 to 5, tama na yan. Di ba? After 5 o'clock, they have to rest. Working beyond the normal working hours should be avoided. Diyan tumataas yung blood pressure mo. Yan, naging diabetic ka, nagiging hypertensive ka. Kung gusto ng tao mag-overtime voluntarily at his own at his own request, di okay, mag-overtime siya. Pero kung ayaw niya mag-overtime, hindi mo siya pwedeng pwersahin. Again, that is the general rule. Ano sinasabi natin? Compelling reason, palagi may compelling reason. Unless there's a compelling reason, if circumstances warrants, the employee is obligated to render overtime pay, but meron siyang 25%, additional 25%. Kukumputin yung kanyang hourly rate, magdadagdag ng 25%. So, yun ang magiging sweldo niya for that hour that he rendered overtime. Ngayon, balik tayo sa compelling reasons. Ano yung compelling reasons under Article 89? Diba? Prevention. Ayun ang intindihin nyo. Prevention. Diba? Essentially, it's a prevention of loss of life, loss of property, loss of earning, due to a fortuitous event. Loss of earning on the part of the employee, yun yung essence para hindi nyo madali nyo tandaan. There will be, the overtime is for the prevention of the loss of life of the employer, loss of property of the employer, loss of earning of the employee because there is a fortuitous event. Kailangan yung fortuitous event ha. Diba? Hindi pwedeng i-compel ka ng employer mo mag-overtime dahil to increase your productivity. Okay, para kumita ako ng malaking pera, mag-overtime kayo, mga hinayo pa kayo. Di ba? Hindi. Kailangan may fortuitous event. May bagyo, mayroong bagyo kinabukasan, may lindol kinabukasan. Kung napopredict yung lindol, kung ba, kinabukasan walang pasok. So, mag-overtime tayo para magligpit kayo. 'Di ba? Yung mga karning mabubulok diyan, ipasok niyo sa rep. 'Di ba ganoon? There must be a prevention of life, property, earnings on the part of the employer just due to a fortuitous event. Well, if you want to memorize Article 89, I don't mind. Pero sa akin yun lang naman. Or sometimes to prevent business interruption, business operation. To prevent business operation of the succeeding day. Pwede rin yun. Compelling reason din yun. So, yun. Kung walang ganon, the employee must willingly agree to the overtime. If he does not agree to the overtime at walang compelling reason, di ba? You cannot charge him with disobedience to a lawful order or insubordination. Again, man are not machines. Diba? Pagpapahingahin mo yan after 8 hours of work because that is recognizing the right of the employer, that is imposing the obligation of the employer to give the employee just and humane conditions of work. Now, ayun, on the part of the employee naman, when can the employee do overtime? When can the employee overtime? Pwede bang, boss, mag-overtime ako ha? Di ba? Parang yung mm, mga trabahador po sa opisina, hindi naman trabahador. Yung mga staff ko doon, 5 o'clock na no, ano pa hinihintay niyo? Magsiuwi na kayo. Wala akong overtime ngayon. Di ba? Ah, Chismisan lang kayo ng chismisan. Pag wala na ako pinagchichismisan nyo. Ang laki ng ano natin, ng kuryente natin. Well, sa traffic kasi ngayon, pag traffic, yung mga empleyado, gagawin nila, hindi mo na sila uwi ng 5 o'clock, rush hour. So, ibig sabihin ba nun, entitled sila ng overtime dahil hindi sila umuwi? Ginagawa nila, hindi nila gagawin yung trabaho nila ng 8 to 5, tapos tapos ang 5 o'clock tsaka nila gagawin para meron silang 25%. When can the employee claim overtime pay? OAC yan, OAC ordered, approved, or confirmed. Kailangan the overtime must be ordered, approved, or confirmed. First, do sa ordered, there must be an order from the employer. Inorderan ka, nag-agree ka, or inorderan ka dahil merong emergency, merong compelling reason. So kung inorderan ka, nag-agree ka o merong compelling reason, entitled ka ng overtime pay. Ayun yung order do sa OAC. O ngayon, ngayon, hindi ka naman ino-orderan. Ikaw ang nag-a-apply ng overtime. Ikaw sa boss mo, overtime mo para kumita naman ako ng mas malaki-laki. Si Mrs. manganganak, kailangan namin mag-ipon. The employee applies for an overtime and it was approved. So, the employee can get overtime pay. Yun yung sa OAC, yun yung approved overtime. Yung kanina, ordered overtime. Yung isa naman is approved overtime. Yung confirmed, ano ba yung confirmed? There are situations na hindi ka naman inorderan, hindi ka naman nag-apply. Kaya lang biglang nung uuwi ka na, bigla mong na-realize, naku, yung sinaing masusunog. Meron pa palang sinaing na naiwan masusunog, na kumukulo pa lang. So, antayin mong maluto. 'Di ba? So, may mga ganung sitwasyon na yung empleyado out of malasakit, maski na hindi siya inorderan, maski na hindi siya nakapag-apply for overtime, but there's a compelling reason for him to stay in the office kasi may mangyayaring masama doon sa employer niya. And pag ganon, if the rendering of overtime work is because of a compelling reason that is redound to the overtime work redounded to the benefit of the employer, honest to goodness. Especially kung yung pag mga ganong kino-confirm yan, boss, nag-overtime ako kahapon kasi hindi dumating yung karelyebo ko. Pag iniwanan ko tong trabaho, siyempre may masisira o baka may mawawala. O pag kinonfirm nung employer mo yung overtime work, although it's not ordered, it was not approved, yan, the employee can uh, uh, demand for the payment of his overtime pay. Ngayon, punta tayo sa mga burden of proof. Ito yung ito yung sa NLRC, pag nag-file ka ng kaso, di ba? Ang complainant, pag nag-file ng kaso, ano yung cause of action mo? Di ba? Una sabihin niya, illegal dismissal, non-payment of 13th month pay, non-payment of SILP, non-payment of holiday pay, non-payment of overtime pay, mga ganon, di ba? Ayun, alam po, pinag-usapan na natin. Pag pinag-usapan sweldo, and the employee is asking for salary differential, kulang sweldo niya, or the employee is saying that hindi siya sineldohan, who bears the burden of proof that in fact the sweldo was paid? Actually, it is the employer. Kasi sabi ng Supreme Court, ikaw employer, ikaw yung may papel Ikaw yung may record. Diba? Ikaw yung may financial officer, ikaw yung may accountant. Diba? So, kung sinasabi ng employee, hindi siya binabayaran ng tama, ipakita mo yung payroll. Ipakita mo yung slip. The burden of proof in case of non-payment of salary or underpayment of salary is the burden of proof is at the shoulder of the employer. The burden of proof is at shoulder of the employer. Ganun yun. Kaya pag hindi mo na ipresenta yung payroll o yung payslip, di ba? At sinasabi nung empleyado hindi mo siya sinesweldohan. At sinasabi, maski nasabi niya, hindi, piso lang ang sinesweldo sa akin yung boss ko. Di ba? At sabihin mo, sobra ka naman. Kung piso lang sinesweldo kasi, sabihin mo, trabaho ka pa rin. Di ba? But, yun nga eh. I-claim lang ng empleyado yan since the burden of proof is on the part of the employer. I don't know kung nilecture ko na sa inyo ito dati. The burden of proof is on the part of the employer. Pag walang payroll, walang payslip, walang proof na bayad talaga yung yung salary o bayad ng tama, mananalo yung empleyado. But does that rule rule apply to overtime? Who has the burden of proof to prove that there was indeed overtime work that was rendered? Ngayon, baliktad pagdating sa overtime, and I'd like you to take note of this. Kasi sa NLRC, tatlo ba? Apat lang ang situation na ang burden of proof is on the part of the employer to prove that this thing was paid. That is salary, 13th month, SILP, and holiday pay. Regular holiday pay. Regular holiday pay, iba yung special holiday o yung special day pay. So yung apat na yan, ang burden of proof, yung apat na yan, take note, remember this, ang burden of proof is on the part of the employer, salary, 13th month, regular holiday pay, and SILP. All the rest, ang burden of proof is on the part of the employee. So, what does it mean? For overtime pay, nagki-claim si employee ng overtime pay dahil nag-render na siya ng overtime work. Kanino yung burden of proof? The burden of proof is on the part of the employee. This means that kung nag-render siya ng overtime work, dapat i-prove niya na nag-overtime work talaga siya. So how do we do that? Kailangan i-present niya yung daily time record niya, yung attendance sheets, o anumang ebidensya, magpa-picture siya doon na nagtatrabaho siya, o i-presenta niya yung order niya na in-orderin siya mag-overtime, i-presenta niya yung approval ng overtime niya, kung confirmation man yan, ipakita niya kung anong tinatrabaho niya para siya mabayaran. And the proof must pertain to work that was done outside 8 hours, outside the 8 normal working hours. In the absence of any concrete proof that additional services beyond the normal working hours has indeed been rendered, the employee cannot get overtime pay. Overtime work, sabi nga ng Supreme Court, is not an NBA. Anong NBA? It's not a normal business activity. Ito yan, magic words, NBA. If it is not a normal business activity, the burden of proof is on the part of the employee to prove that he is entitled to the money claims that he is claiming.